Belize's COVID patient 7 taken from the Western Regional to the KHMH. We'll tell you why and what's being done for him. And squash the rumors COVID patient number 1 did not attend a party at Hubert Pipersburg's house. And a depraved and demented act by the police, forcing a man and a woman to engage in intercourse as they captured it. Also, Belize's first female acting Chief Justice sworn in. Plus, what's it like being a student abroad when you hear your home country's borders have been locked down? We'll talk to students all over the world. We've got details of these and other stories in our special curfew edition of 7 News at 6 tonight, April 7th, 2020. Good evening. With your news, I'm Indira Craig.
Now is the time to sign up for the best postpaid plans in the country because Digi has doubled the data in all their plans. Now you can get even more done, connect even more, stream even more, create even more, and share even more. All on the fastest mobile network that gives you the most coverage nationwide. Now is the time to go postpaid with plans starting as low as $49 monthly. Shared plans are also available, all with unlimited talk and text. So don't wait. Hurry over to your nearest Digi store to sign up today. Enjoy double the data in all postpaid plans only with Digi.
B&B Beverages is making social distancing easy by offering home delivery service in Belize City and San Pedro. Let us come to you. All B&B Beverages are available. Place your orders on WhatsApp at 633-4992 or call us at 221-4061 or 221-4062. No phone credit? No problem. Call us toll-free at 0800-BOWEN-BZ. That's 0800-BOWEN-BZ. Orders placed before 2 p.m. will be delivered the next business day. Please have both empties and cash ready. B&B Beverages Home Delivery Service. Let us come to you.
Digi, your national telecom, would like to assure all Belizeans that we will continue to keep you connected during this challenging time, providing you with high-quality services that you depend upon each day. The resilience and the reliability of both our staff and our networks will ensure that you are able to keep working, learning, and most importantly, communicating with your loved ones at home and abroad. This is what matters most at this time.
Boosting Diginet speeds for free to over 20,000 customers and pledging over $7 million to the COVID-19 Relief Fund by way of $1 million in cash and $6 million in value to our customers is just one of our ways of showing we are here for Belize.
You can depend on Digi. Together, we will get through this challenging time and emerge even stronger. Stay safe, Belize.
Scared, confused, overwhelmed? Stay in the know with COVID-19 Watch. Weekdays at 9:30 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Channel 7 and also on Facebook at Colorblind Multimedia Productions, 7 News Belize and Digi Belize. Stay informed, stay vigilant, stay healthy.
Tonight, Belize's COVID-19 patient number 7 is at the isolation unit of the KHMH, which is reserved for critical care COVID-19 patients. He was transferred from Belmopan's Western Regional Hospital last night, and his admission to the KHMH clearly indicates that he needs a higher level of care. But he is not on a ventilator. This afternoon on Ask the Experts, the Director of Health Services gave a briefing on patient 7's condition. He started with patient number 6, another San Ignacio resident who is at home with no major symptoms. Unlike patient 7, he has a known connection to patient number 4. The DHS says they found him through contact tracing.
We also did further swabbing of secondary contacts, if you will, or not so immediate contacts of what we had then as a patient number 4. And those tests were run on Sunday. That's how we managed to identify patient number 6, who we have established a link between patient number 6 and patient number 4, but we still have not been able to ascertain where or who the first case was in that regard. And the patient number 7 is a patient we swabbed because we had also said we were going to be swabbing people who were having respiratory conditions inside hospital facilities. So this patient number 7 is a patient who had been diagnosed with community-acquired pneumonia, initially managed in San Ignacio, and as per our referral protocol, he was subsequently referred to the Western Regional Hospital, which is where he was swabbed, where the diagnosis was made, and he was sent on to Carl Huchner yesterday in case he would have required any ventilation support. However, the last note I got is that he was not in a ventilation, was not under mechanical ventilation, he was under supplementary oxygen. I just got a note from CEO of Carl Huchner. The patient is, in point of fact, improving. His vitals are stable, and he has improved from yesterday to today. And he is only on nasal oxygen, which is a little cannula they put for oxygen, and was chatting with his relatives via phone because, you know, no visits are allowed.
And so while patient 7 is conscious and not on a ventilator, 3 Ministry of Health teams in San Ignacio are tracing his contacts. And contact tracing also has to do with rumor tracing. This weekend, after Hubert Pipersberg died, that meant following a social media story that Pipersberg and patient 1 had contact at a birthday party in San Ignacio on the day she arrived in the country, March 19th. The story went that this was being kept a secret from health authorities so that she would not be charged for violating her quarantine. Well, it turns out that's just a story. The woman in the picture at the party is not contact 1, Manzanero explained.
In our mapping exercise done for patient number 1 and patient number 4, we did not find that connection, that is still a prevalent kind of situation happening there. So they are not, the people that are in the photos, and lots of photos have been sent to us, there's no connection that ties them there. As we have said, even internal to our mapping exercise, we were able to trace at what time patient number 1 arrived, what flight she took to San Pedro, who picked her up and took her home, and at what time that happened. So there is no other evidence that, and the patient that is being circulated in those family photos, and that's getting into people's private moments, if you will, is not patient number 1.
And turning from rumor to allegation, Dr. Manzanero gave a brief but pointed reply to the allegation Maria Estela Resenius made. She's Hubert Pipersberg's grieving wife, and she claimed that on March 27th she called Dr. Manzanero, who she knows personally, and asked him to take a COVID-19 test on her husband. She claims, quote, Dr. Manzanero told me my husband doesn't qualify to take the test. I was surprised, as symptoms point out, that it wasn't any simple infection. Today, Manzanero said it's untrue.
I am getting here personal notes in terms of the story that was published in reference to patient number 4. I mean, I can appreciate one side of the story being told. I am not, I think, in a position to be engaging. I can respect the grieving process of the family. As a clinician, I can tell you that I empathize with that, but once there's a due process, I will say what was said, because there's an allegation in there in terms of me being called, and that's not true. That's all I'm going to say in reference to that. There was no conversation on March 27th.
A release from the government yesterday said, quote, the government assures the Pipersberg and Resenius family that the public and all complaints and criticism regarding COVID-19 in Belize are taken very seriously, especially concerning the experience Mr. Pipersberg's family recounts. Mr. Resenius' report and any information that can assist in ensuring that Belize's response demonstrates respect and care for citizens are welcome and appreciated. Consequently, an investigation of the public health response and medical care given to Mr. Pipersberg, as recounted by Ms. Resenius, has already begun. End quote. Turning now to what's next, which is the continued sustained response to COVID-19. The Prime Minister stressed yesterday evening that there are ample tests available and a stockpile of PPEs. Here's his statement made 24 hours ago.
We have an ample number of testing kits for the moment. We are in the process of procuring more. So apart from the ramped up sampling and testing that we will do in the Cayo district, generally there will be increased testing throughout the country. Public or personal protective equipment, again, I see that there is an outcry on the part of the nurses. We dealt with that this morning, and I hope successfully, and I imagine that even now the authorities are in the process of communicating this to the nurses. We do have absolutely a sufficiency of PPE, so no frontline worker need go without a PPE. A lot of the PPEs are in storage, and unfortunately, that had to be done for the purposes of accountability. You know how it is, and I'm not pointing fingers at any particular individual or group of individuals, but before we adopted, or the health care personnel adopted this new approach, there were leakages. Some of the equipment was going missing.
Today, Dr. Marvin Manzanero provided specifics on how many COVID-19 tests are available and how many are on order.
Yesterday when I checked, we had 732 tests that we could still do, and we are still pending 3,000 more tests to come in, and we had requested for 15,000 more tests that are pending a process, because you know, just like tests, all the other items that are required for COVID-19 response, you will know that there is a waiting list now, and that's what's turning out to be a little bit of a headache as we move along.
It was also announced today that 8 mechanical ventilators are pending delivery. And while Manzanero outlined the number of testing kits that are stored up and are on order, we also have an update on the number of COVID-19 tests that have been performed. The latest figures show that 303 tests have been performed, 296 of them were negative and 7 of them were positive. 119 of those tests were performed in Belize District and 107 in the Cayo District. And in each district, 3 positives were found. There have been 30 tests performed in the Curzon District and only 1 positive outcome. The Director of Health Services also commented on one other area of public interest, and that is the use of masks. In many other countries, use is widespread, and it is said to contain the spread of the coronavirus. But in Belize, their use has not been encouraged by the Ministry of Health, and Manzanero explained why today.
WHO is still not saying wear a mask routinely, and they even have this little exercise of when people are not used to wearing a mask, how easy it is for you to have what's called cross-contamination, which means you still touch your mask and at some point in time still get the virus to you. For people on the street, it might be beneficial, but I would not perhaps recommend the masks that people are making. I know there's some discussion about making homemade masks for people on the street. It can be of benefit, but you also will have to understand that you can't wear a mask for the 8 hours of the day. You can't be putting it on top of your head underneath your chin, because then you have defeated the purpose of wearing a mask. I think for us, we're trying to be cautious in terms of just making a blanket statement for everybody to wear a mask.
And we take a break now. When we come back, police accused of one of the grossest abuses we've ever seen. We'll tell you about it. And the first woman to be acting Chief Justice was sworn in today. You'll see it. Don't go away.
Digi, your national telecom, would like to assure all Belizeans that we will continue to keep you connected during this challenging time, providing you with high-quality services that you depend upon each day. The resilience and the reliability of both our staff and our networks will ensure that you are able to keep working, learning, and most importantly, communicating with your loved ones at home and abroad. This is what matters most at this time.
Boosting Diginet speeds for free to over 20,000 customers and pledging over $7 million to the COVID-19 Relief Fund by way of $1 million in cash and $6 million in value to our customers is just one of our ways of showing we are here for Belize.
You can depend on Digi. Together, we will get through this challenging time and emerge even stronger. Stay safe, Belize.
Belican beer has proudly been brewed in Belize since 1969. Over these past 50 years, we've been through a lot together. And we as a country have always stuck together, helped each other out, and persevered with a positive, can-do attitude. And while we know that things are unusual this year, We Belizeans are resilient, and we're going to do what's needed to keep ourselves safe and keep our country moving forward. So what we really need at this moment is family togetherness at home with good rice and beans. A party on the beach? Don't worry, we'll have that again soon. The Agric Show, that too will be back. 2020 Lobster Fest? Time will tell. Belican takes great pride being part of all these celebrations, both big and small, and we will continue to do so once the time is right. What matters most right now is protecting our loved ones, keeping a healthy distance from others, and being strong together. Stay strong, Belize. Belican, the beer of Belize.
my phone, I'm using Digi. On the net, a telephone, using it everywhere. In my home or on the go, I'm using Digi. When it comes to communication, Digi got the destination. Digi got the best service. The only one you can depend on. They got the hook up with the fiber. They got the hook up with the fiber. The fiber.
in compliance with the COVID-19 pandemic regulations and guidelines established by the Ministry of Health and the Government of Belize. Central TV and Internet advises you that we'll be implementing the following changes to our opening hours effective April 2nd, 2020. Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday, closed. While our offices remain open, we have been following all precautionary measures to protect both you and our employees. We have installed markers on the floor to indicate standing distance to adhere to the physical distancing requirements, as well as the plexiglass barriers. If you would like assistance, please feel free to contact us through any of our communication outlets. We thank you for your continued support and encourage everyone to stay informed. Let's continue to practice self-care and community care by remaining mindful of each other and practicing precautionary measures guided by the health officials.
Next Gen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
Three weeks ago, we told you how Justice Michelle Arana was about to be elevated to the post of Acting Chief Justice of Belize. Well, that appointment became official today at a small ceremony in Belmopan. Justice Arana was sworn into office by the Governor-General, Sir Colville Young, at the Belize House. She now formally takes over from the former Chief Justice, Kenneth Benjamin, who attained the age of retirement at 65 in March. Arana, who has been on the bench since 2006, was the first woman justice of the Supreme Court. She's also the most senior sitting judge, and she now becomes the first woman to hold the Chief Justice's seat. It is believed she will do so on an interim basis while the government advertises the post. According to the Constitution, she is appointed by the Governor-General, acting in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister given after consultation with the Leader of the Opposition. Lionel Arzu, Belize's ombudsman since 2012, was also sworn back into the office today for another term. After hundreds were locked up this weekend for violating the curfew, last night was a little better. 60 persons were picked up countrywide. They were arrested and charged as follows: 39 for being unable to provide reasons for movement outside of the curfew period, 19 for a breach of curfew, 2 for failure to practice social distancing. Curfew violations carry a fine of as much as $5,000. First, our next story is not suitable for kids, so if they are watching, either excuse them from the room or please, just for a minute, change the channel. It's about a gross police abuse allegedly during curfew hours. At least 2 police officers are said to have gotten up to this most depraved of activities, orchestrating what can only be called a police-sanctioned rape of 2 adults. Last night, the vile video started circulating via WhatsApp. In it, a man and woman are forced to engage in a sex act led by the voices of 2 men whom the woman identifies as police officers. We have blurred it completely, but must air a portion to show that they are indeed police commanding these adults into an act of extreme humiliation and degradation.
That's no respect.
Sorry about that, sir.
No, that's the one.
When I had the police, I said, well, no, I just tell the boy that I work.
To see it, man, not happen.
Reports say that after interviewing the woman in question, the police department believes that officers are indeed behind the incident, but as of yet are unable to identify them. At the start of the COVID-19 scare in Belize, just before the first confirmed case of the coronavirus was detected, we told you how there was a disruption in the regular services. Bus companies were already prepared to discontinue operations until further notice. But the Ministry of Transport was able to smooth things over with the operators countrywide for the re-establishment service. This weekend, the bus operators announced again that they would stop running after Sunday. We were informed that the bus companies deployed their usual runs on Saturday, but that they found the terminals closed. They didn't need much to quit. They had been requesting a fuel subsidy from the government to remain operational. And some of the owners reportedly took issue with the fact that a few select companies were approved instead of an across-the-board allocation to all operators. We spoke with Transport Minister Edmond Castro today to seek clarification on those reports. But our conversation with him focused instead on the financial viability of these bus companies remaining operational in a time when all non-essential travel has been shut down due to the curfew regulations. Here's what he told us via telephone this evening.
It's a state of emergency. So every 24 hours, sometimes the dynamics change. So what we had agreed upon, because the Bus Owners Association had put out that they will cease and desist from running effective Monday. So over the weekend, I had put together skeleton runs that will run from PG all the way to PG, Independence, Dangriga, Belmopan, Belize City, and from Salignac, from Benke, all the way to Belize City, and likewise in the north. Since then, things change. As it stands now, we're looking at shutting off the Cayo district. So what we had agreed upon on over the weekend, things drastically changed since then. There was not the shutdown of the corridor, the western corridor. No, that is a reality. And however, if we have buses operating from the south coming to Belize City, they will not be allowed to stop in the Cayo district, which is Belmopan. So I don't see how it will even become possible for them to even operate shortly. Because like what I said, the dynamics change every 24 hours. As soon as we get more reports that we have COVID-19 spotted in this area, we have to move towards different dynamics. So even what we had agreed upon is getting real dicey, because the bus operator or no bus will be allowed to operate outside of the Cayo district for sure. So I don't see how it might be possible and profitable for Westline to be operating within Cayo district only from San Ignacio, from Benke Viejo to Belmopan. Only essential workers, and we are looking at the possibility of the different frontline workers to facilitate their employees in terms of getting to and from work. For now, we still have that skeleton crew running in the north. However, I don't see how much of there's not much of a movement as relates to when you look at the data. 4 people on a bus coming from Corozal to Orange Rock, 7 people on a bus. I don't see how that is viable. And like what I said on Sunday, even if me personally me give you the full fuel for the day, and your responsibility is to pay your driver and your conductor, and you taking 4 people from Corozal or 7 people from Corozal to Belize City, I don't see how you could pay your driver or your conductor. So if you're not making the money to cover your basic costs, no $1 or $2 off the price of fuel, or exempt the duty exempt off the price of fuel, will be able to allow you to stay on the run. So as a business owner, if you do not have the volume and you cannot make a profit or at least break even, then I don't see as a wise businessman why you should be even on the road. It makes absolutely no sense.
As you heard, there are still a few buses running in the northern and southern districts, but the minister is unsure of how long they will continue due to financial constraints. On Sunday, Belize extended the closure of its borders to apply even to citizens. It's a controversial decision, but one that the Prime Minister assured was completely legal. And it's had a major effect on those in the diaspora, many who just got stuck, and the hundreds of Belizean students studying abroad. The only choice they have now is to sit out the pandemic in foreign countries that may be just very far from home. Cherise Halsal reports.
I touched base with 3 such students spread across the world in the UK, Spain, and even South Korea for a description of what it's like to endure a global pandemic while far from home.
It was really scary at first because, like I said, I didn't know much about the virus. I felt very vulnerable because I didn't feel as if I had anyone at home who could relate. But now we know that that's not the case.
So what are the precautions that they've advised for you guys there? Are you wearing masks, gloves?
Not gloves. Some people do wear gloves. Everyone wears a mask. Here in Korea, if you're not wearing a mask, people look at you very scornfully. Well, more in a reprimanding way, like, why are you not wearing a mask? You know that you're supposed to be wearing a mask. On the buses, there are bottles of hand sanitizer. So you can clean your hands with hand sanitizer as soon as you get on the bus and as you're getting off the bus.
This was last year. It was still really focused in China. And because I guess of where I am and my program have a lot of international students, it was already a part of the conversation. But
I know that following Italy, Spain has had the highest incidence of cases in Europe. What's the day-to-day experience like living in Spain at this time?
Honestly, everything is on lockdown. There's a lot of authority on the ground, lots of police, lots of military. Everybody seems pretty respectful of that. You can sense some bit of apprehension from just people in general. I mean, we can only go to the store or the pharmacy or to seek help, some sort of healthcare provider for whatever reason. But just walking along the streets, people are wearing masks, they're wearing gloves. If you're on the same side of the street with one person, one of us will cross the street. You can only go out as one person, absolutely no gatherings. Police will stop you. And I guess if you can't prove a reason to be out, you will be charged. On the medical front, to be quite honest, I haven't really seen that because we stay home. I mean, and I have no intentions of going to the hospital if I don't have.
As you can see right now, I'm talking to you from the comforts of my room, which is actually accommodation on campus. I have been in quarantine from maybe about March 15th, so it's almost going on for 3 weeks and a half. I think maybe it's kind of like it's a unique phase that we're going through here. Like we've never experienced such a thing before in my life. However, the University of East Anglia has been very good in relaying information and making us feel comfortable where we are here at the university. They have actually resorted to transferring all of our courses online, and they were very quick and swift in doing that, so we didn't feel as though we were losing out on anything.
So now, what has been your experience on the streets of Norwich at this time? How does it look there, and what are the regulations?
Well, to be fair, I can't really tell you because we are not allowed to go out in the streets. We can go out one time for the day, and you can't go far, and it's basically to exercise. But from looking out my window, there is absolutely nobody on the streets in Norwich. Also, I've seen some posts from some of my other Chevening colleagues who live in the city center. They've taken some pictures of the city, and it's also very empty. So people are trying their best to stay at home. In terms of food, we have delivery services, so we just order online and then they bring it to us, so there's no need for us to go to the supermarkets and so forth.
And what are their impressions of what's been going on here at home?
Well, Hubert Pipersberg was a personal friend of mine, so it hit really close to home. He wasn't someone I just happened to know. It's been really tough for me to be consoling my friends from halfway around the world. And now that San Ignacio seems to be on the way to becoming the epicenter of the virus in Belize, it's very hard. Like, I haven't been able to concentrate all day.
I can sense that my Belizean people are very afraid. They're very confused. They're finding somebody to blame, which is it's just human instinct. What I would tell them is what made me feel better was that, okay, so what they did for us was they said, okay, here we have the pandemic, but here is a proposed plan just in case somebody catches corona. So for me, I would advise them, like for them to reduce a little bit of the panic and the nervousness and the anxiety that I can tell that they're having, is to have like a proposed emergency plan for their individual homes, so that can at least reduce it.
I'm really worried. My family's there. I have a lot of family, and we're all very close. And I speak to them every day and continuously stressing, please stay home, please stay home. Fortunately, my sisters, they are able to work from home, but I have family that lost jobs when the tourism sector lost a lot of employment. I have other family that work other jobs that get paid by the hour who are, struggling now. So things like that makes it a bit more closer to home for me, even though I'm so far away.
Tomorrow night we'll have part 2 of the story, where the 3 students talk about what they felt after realizing that, at least for now, they can't come home. Turning back now to the national response to COVID-19, the Director of Health Services today informed that the Cuban Medical Brigade of 62 health professionals is out of quarantine and deployed to the field. He outlined where they are going.
Will the Cuban professionals be dispersed throughout the country? Some have already gone to Carthusia. That started yesterday. We will go back with Ms. Bella and Ms. Matut, the Chief Nursing Officer, after we finish here, to deploy the rest of the Cuban doctors and nurses throughout the country, with Cayo and Belmopan being the areas that are of more immediate concern, simply because that's where the cases are popping up from.
And the internal medicine specialists from among the Cubans may also be key in assisting critical patients with intubating for mechanical ventilation. Belize has a limited number of doctors who can do it, and Dr. Manzanero said, do it remotely by camera instructions.
How many doctors are available to intubate patients at the KHMH isolation unit? I know they have 3 internists. There are 3 more internists that came from the Cuban Brigade. I know that Dr. Hidalgo, who is an intensivist who is not currently in the roster, communicates with us. We're just communicating daily with him in assistance. Dr. Arriaga is, I think, heading the ICU unit now. We have somebody from private sector who comes and does shifts at Carthusia. My understanding of the patient that is intubated is, I think they use the video laryngoscope, which they already have, which means that there's less risk to the doctor doing the intubation, because it's guided to make sure you're doing it as a quick process, and then that's out of that.
And we'll take a break, but when we come back, we'll show you someone that's making medical masks. Don't go away.
To sign up for the best postpaid plans in the country, because Digi has doubled the data in all their plans. Now you can get even more done, connect even more, stream even more, create even more, and share even more. All on the fastest mobile network that gives you the most coverage nationwide. Now is the time to go postpaid with plans starting as low as $49 monthly. Shared plans are also available, all with unlimited talk and text. So don't wait. Hurry over to your nearest Digi store to sign up today. Enjoy double the data in all postpaid plans only with Digi.
confused, overwhelmed? Stay in the know with COVID-19 Watch. Weekdays at 9:30 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Channel 7 and also on Facebook at Colorblind Multimedia Productions, 7 News Belize, and DigiBelize. Stay informed, stay vigilant, stay healthy.
By working together, we can make our Belize a safer place. This message is brought to you by Crime Stoppers Belize and this station. We do these things without thinking, to keep our possessions safe. And yet, we think twice about doing this. Even though calling Crime Stoppers is an anonymous way to make our homes, schools, and communities safer, which helps to protect the people we care about. Call Crime Stoppers to anonymously report criminal activity in your area. By working together, we can make our Belize a safer place. This message is brought to you by Crime Stoppers Belize and this station.
Last week, we showed you how local companies were switching things up to solve the country's shortages in hand sanitizer and personal protective equipment in the fight against the spread of COVID-19. Well, tonight we report on another business entity that has repurposed its operations to manufacture masks. That company is known as Aligraphics Limited, which specializes in printing. They began exploring the idea of producing face guards about 2 weeks ago. And right now, they have a massive order to mass-produce face guards for the police department. They invited us over today for a look at their new protective gear for frontline workers. Here's what one of the owners had to say about this product.
In response to the current crisis, we have recognized there's a shortage of these protective gears that our frontline workers need, and we thought about how we can use our equipment to produce these items because they are not in supply and they're necessary. So it took us about a week to refine the process, and we have been producing about 2 weeks now. This item weighs 0.2 ounces, and it is very comfortable, full visibility, very audible, and effective. It wraps around all the way to behind my ears, all the way down here, so it protects ourselves and the person who is talking to the enforcer, the frontline person. Currently, we are supplying the police department a very large quantity.
These masks comprise of 3 parts: the elastic band, the plastic material, and the acrylic frame right here. What we do is that we have a laser cutter that cuts out the acrylic frame, and we hand sew these elastic bands, and we cut out the plastic by hand. What we do is that we have a frame that we cut out of acrylic and just put it on the plastic material and just cut it out. That's basically it. We've repurposed our equipment for this.
We cannot retail at the moment because of the compliance with the Ministry of Health directive.
As you heard Yvonne Moore say, the company cannot retail the face guards at this time because they must follow the Health Ministry's directives. If at any time that restriction is lifted and you would like to purchase one, you can contact them at the telephone numbers 615-6565 and 615-7100. In all the news about COVID-19, we didn't update you on the mayor's COVID test. He tested negative for the virus. Important because Hubert Pipersberg, who died from it, was his economic advisor. And while that is one great relief for the mayor, he still has many troubles ahead. Like most municipal bodies, the city council is in a financial vice. Employees have gone on half pay, and the mayor told us on Friday that he is on no pay. Here's his phone video interview via Zoom.
What we really recommended to our staff is that they take half pay for this 15th. We know we already have the funds to do that 15th half pay, but it's not like they will be foregoing that payment, Jules. It will be a deferred payment that as soon as we are back on track and we get past this hurdle, that those payment will be made back to those employees. In addition to that, what we did with some of the vendors who have facilities with us at the markets, in the parks, in the lower end of the city hall here, we tell them not to worry about your rent until June, July. You don't have to pay that. That's waived. That's cancelled. You don't have to worry about that for the next 3 months. And if this crisis continues, then we look at it again. We also said to the business owners and the residential property owners, you don't have to pay your property taxes right now. Use the money to take care of yourself right now. You have until June to pay those taxes, and you'll pay them come June at a reduced rate of 15%.
Are you on half pay, Mayor?
I have given up all my salary, Jules. Full salary I've foregone. My councillors have foregone half of their stipend.
Are you all able to make it through April at this rate?
No, we'll definitely need some support from government, and I have already sent that request to the government. I have not received a reply as yet, but we will need some support. We are able to meet this 15th payroll, and we will do that. But thereafter, we will require some measure of support from government.
Everyone has gone on half pay, but right now the council's accounts should be buff. It is, we know that even though COVID came, really the COVID scare started gaining momentum in the middle of March. That is the council's revenue high season when people are paying their tax before the start of the new fiscal year. So a critic would say that, man, you know, had a little bit more in an account to never have to cut everybody to half pay.
Yeah, but that lies the misconception, Jews. There lies it. Remember, unlike the previous councils, we did not engage in offering discounts prior to the March 31st deadline. So nobody compare until they reach that deadline. All of them people say we not giving no early payment because we not getting no discount. We have compare at the 31st. So now when the COVID set in around mid-March, no money coming on at all. So that is still out there. That money is still out there.
The Belize Bank is also announcing across-the-board cuts. A release from the bank today says, quote, the Belize Bank is strongly placed to weather the coronavirus storm. We are a well-capitalized financial organization with extremely robust systems and have made extensive contingency plans in response to the significant challenges that the country is currently undergoing. Nonetheless, we will continue to be adversely affected, end quote. But the bank has to protect its employees and shareholders. It says, quote, the board of directors of the Belize Bank recently volunteered to a reduction in directors' fees by 20% on a temporary basis. In addition, the leadership team of the bank, including all of the members of the bank's executive management team, have done the same, agreeing to a 20% reduction in their salaries until we get through this crisis, end quote. And while Citco employees and Belize Bank employees have had to take a pay cut, others in the city who have fallen on hard times are receiving subsidies in the form of food packages. We followed UDP standard bearer Philip Willoughby today as he handed out eggs and beans to serve as holdovers for those waiting patiently for long-awaited government assistance.
What you see here is something that is ongoing with a view to help the wider Port Loyola constituency. I have been able to secure some donation and funds from donors and friends. This is just myself and my team reaching out to the wider constituency. giving a little food package. This is the second part of the food package. The first portion was delivered Friday. We then look forward to go down Penn Road, Bootsville area, Farbers Road, providing that the government's assistance program does not come on stream, because that is scheduled to come online very shortly. So I am just extending a little holdover until the wider program manifests itself to the entire country.
We know that it's not everybody that's going to qualify for the government's assistance.
Right.
So as a standard bearer on the ground, what would be your advice to the wider government to prevent riots that would result from hunger in these areas?
I saw on Facebook just over the weekend, again, my political opponent putting up a post on social media, Facebook, saying that if you aren't working, you qualify for the government stimulus that is being funded through Social Security. If you were working and had stopped work, not work any at all, and you can go on his Facebook page and look at it and read it, man, I had to text the owner of the page and say, come on, people have to qualify for the stimulus, correct or wrong, truth or not, you have to qualify. He's going around telling everybody that you qualify, and they are filling out the forms and sending it in. And I have told my people, and I have asked, can he do this? Should he be doing this? Because what you're doing, you're misleading the constituency, because it gives Carl and others a false pretense that you may get the 75 or the 150 every 2 weeks, and you are outrightly lying to the people, and he shouldn't have done that.
And continuing our COVID-19 coverage, United States is preparing for the most COVID deaths this week. According to the Washington Post, today the U.S. reported more than 1,800 coronavirus-related fatalities, a new one-day high, with some states still to release their totals. Belizean-American Dr. Sergio Garcia is a critical care specialist with an emphasis in pulmonary medicine, and he is on the front line of that war in Oklahoma. This weekend, via video call, he told us how he has been handling all the trauma and loss associated with the coronavirus.
How do you handle that, the tough emotional part of it for the families of the deceased?
It's never easy. I mean, I do, one of my specialties is critical care. So I deal with it often enough, and it's never easy. It's going to be pretty tough. Every time it is tough, but it's going to be tough when it comes in such quick numbers. And you're already starting to see the emotional wear and tear in some people. And part of the problem too is that, you know, we're at great risk too. Prepare yourself, cover yourself, clean. We wipe everything. We're just very meticulous about stuff.
Dr. Garcia also told us about the prospects for patients who are placed on ventilators. He said that even without corona complications, the chances of survival are not high.
In regards to ARDS, or adult respiratory distress syndrome, that you can develop from any inflammatory process that triggers this cascade of inflammation that affects the lungs, it is, from independent of cause prior to this virus, it is about 60% by itself, not including whatever other factors you might want to add. By itself, it's about 60% mortal. So I mean, but 3 out of every 5 people you put on a vent for ARDS are going to die. By itself, it's a bad thing. But it's not by itself. Usually there's something else. Recovery process. You typically on these respiratory distress syndrome patients, if you survive it all, if you go through it all, after a year, it can take up to a year. Over 90% of your lungs can recover, typically.
If you thought the COVID-19 downtime would be the break you needed to waste the day in line at Vital Stats, well, think again. The Vital Statistics unit is temporarily closed. It's a closure that comes after taking into consideration the current state of affairs in the wake of COVID-19. That means that effective immediately, all services offered by the unit have been suspended. In a press release today, the Attorney General's office provided a tentative reopening date of April 20th, 2020. And if you had a little bit of trouble earlier on with our audio, please note that it has not been on Channel 7 side, but on the cable company. If you do check us for the repeat, there should be no issues. And that's all we have for you for tonight's newscast. Thanks for watching With Your News. I'm Indira Craig. Remember to watch our streaming video of this newscast at 7newsbelize.com, and remember to keep yourself and others safe. Stay at home, maintain your safety and hygienic practices of social distancing of at least 3 feet, washing hands for 20 seconds, using hand sanitizer or just soap and water, and not touching your face. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay alert, but also stay calm, don't panic, and be reminded that we will be back here tomorrow at 6. Curfew starts at 8, so please stay indoors. Have a great night.